Gail Estella, survival politics. Where pain becomes purpose, no fear, no remorse. Say it again. Through the pain, through the fire, through the worst of my day. We made it. I found purpose in the breaking. Right there. Survival isn't a whisper. I know. Go if you listen, you survive. Still breathing, still alive. God never wastes the hurting. Every chapter had a rolling tide.
Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast.
Where pain comes purpose. No fear, no remorse. Survival isn't a whisper. Through the worst of my day. Rhythm breakers and no whisper.
Hello, everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, there's a couple of things I need for you to do for me. The first thing is, will you please go and like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Secondly, where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Put in the comment box below where you're tuning in from. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please do so at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy yet? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to truevinepublishingcompany.org, Amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. My guest this evening, I met this lady through social media, and I realized, or when I saw her, I saw how beautiful she was. But other than that, I also saw that she had a bald head. And I reached out to her and I invited her to be a member of the Bald, Bold, and Beautiful community, and she accepted. And I began to follow her journey, and I just saw how bold she was, how beautiful she was, and how courageous she was with her baldness. We became associates, and I followed some of the things that she was doing, the different pageants that she was in, and the different organizations and events that she offered for women that also wore their head bald. And not only was she beautiful, she was courageous with it. And she's here with us tonight, and she has a story to tell. And I am so excited for her to be here, and I'm so excited for you to hear her story. Hi, Miss Lecita.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. And thank you for being here with us.
It is my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and it is an honor.
Yes. Oh, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. So there's two things I want to talk about before we get started. Your shirt. No bad hair days. I'm too bald for that. Yeah. Talk about that.
So, a lot of times I've always wanted to design T-shirts and be a designer. And it's like different slogans began to come to me, especially when I started this alopecia journey. And I was getting ready to have an event, and all of a sudden, no bad hair days came to me, because obviously I can't have a bad hair day.
Right.
And so that just became another one of my T-shirts, just to add to the brand. Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, I should have had on my Bald, Bold, and Beautiful T-shirt. But it's okay.
Yeah, because you rocking your blue, so you still supporting.
Your bald and shine today. This is not about me. This is about you. This is about
you still rocking that beautiful blue.
Thank you. And the next thing, I see the picture of one of the warriors from the Black Panther. Why do you have it displayed in your office?
Actually, that's me.
That's you. Yes, ma'am.
So we did a photo shoot, I guess about 4 years ago now, and it was the Black Panther theme. And a few of the ladies, we ordered the Black Panther costumes, and the photographer, she took us to a field, and we did a Black Panther photo shoot.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The
And so-
spear, the warrior.
Yeah.
You consider yourself a warrior.
I do. And I also consider myself, I am my own hero. You know, it's like a lot of times, like growing up, I loved Wonder Woman. And she was my hero, my shero. But then when I began to go through this alopecia journey, I became my own hero. And a friend of mine, after the photo shoot, she had this made for me. And had it sent to me. So
Nice.
Yeah, I am my own hero. I have my own action figure.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Alopecia. Let's go back to the beginning of your alopecia journey. Tell us about the Lecita before the alopecia. Did you have long hair? How did you wear your hair? Tell us about that girl.
So that girl, yes. I did all the things to my hair. I wore it long. I wore it short. At one time I cut it all off, and that's when Eve was on the scene and she was popular. I cut it all off and it was blonde. When I had my locks were long. I wore lots of different hairstyles. You never caught me with the same hairstyle. So it was always something different. I was always doing all the things. And because I was a hairstylist, I was able to really just sit in the mirror and just work my canvas. And yeah, just creative, just out of the box. And so when alopecia came.
And how old were you?
So I found my first bald spot. I have to even think back how old I was. I found my first bald spot. My middle daughter was little. So it had to be in 2000. It was in 2000. And what I originally thought I was stressing. And I'm not going to say that I wasn't. We had lost my uncle suddenly, and he was like the rock of the family. And so I was stressing. I was grieving, like trying to make sense of, what is going on. And so I noticed my scalp kept itching really bad. And it was itching so bad, I would take a brush and just go around in circles to just kind of give me some relief.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even, it wasn't even giving me relief. It was just like giving me comfort for the moment. And so I'm not going to say all hairstylists, me as a hairstylist, I decided, okay, I got to cover this up. So, that was mistake number one. I started covering it up. And so from 2000 to 2005, I covered it up. And then I decided that I wanted to lock my hair. Well, the spot, it will grow back, it will come back out. It will come back out. And so it was just one of those things. And so in 2005, I decided to lock my hair. And all my hair was there.
Yeah.
And
let me go back. I want to interject one moment. You said something that you didn't advise, covering it up.
Yes.
With you being a stylist.
Yes.
What would you tell clients that come to the salon and they're experiencing the same things that you experience, and their stylist say, okay, how did you cover your hair up? Tell the audience, how did you cover it up?
So I covered it up with weaves.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sew-ins, bonding, and that was even worse.
Yes.
But I covered it up with sew-ins, bondings. I even covered it up with braids. I would get my hair braided and, just keep it pulled up or just keep it styled really cute to keep it covered.
Mm-hmm.
But, my number one thing now, I tell clients when they say, okay, my scalp is itching really bad or I'm seeing more shedding than usual, make you an appointment. That is, I am the biggest advocate of the doctor's office. Make you an appointment, because anytime your scalp begins to itch profusely, like uncontrollably, there is something going on that needs to be addressed immediately.
Yes.
Anytime you're seeing amounts of hair that are coming out that are abnormal, because we're supposed to lose so many strands of hair a day.
Yeah.
But when it gets to be too much, make an appointment, because something is going on the inside.
Yes. And so who do they make the appointment with?
They make their appointment with their family physician.
Okay.
First. Make your appointment, because once you get your appointment with your family physician, then most of the time they do a blood workup.
Mm-hmm.
And that blood workup will tell them what's going on in their body. For me, when I finally, and let me just say, I waited 19 years to go to the doctor.
A long time.
And it gives me cold chills now to even think about it, because I can't say that I could have saved my hair, but I can say that I would have had a better chance.
Yes.
Of saving my hair had I got in front of it earlier.
Yes.
So I was my biggest problem. Mm-hmm. Worrying about everything else around me instead of myself. And so,
do you think a lot of women, I know you can't speak for all women, but do you think a lot of women just think, okay, it'll magically disappear? It'll go away, or the hair will grow back, or they just don't want, because once you go to the doctor, there are different tests can be done, like you said, the blood work. Then you can find out that sometimes there are things going on with us internally, medical conditions that are going on with us internally. A lot of times we may not want to know these things. We don't want to address those things. So we just keep moving and covering until it gets, like you said, out of hand, out of reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, a lot of women, and I can speak for myself. Mm-hmm. We often concern ourselves with what other people think.
Yes.
We often concern ourselves with the outside noise instead of paying attention to ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and being authentically true to ourselves. And a lot of times nobody wants to hear you have alopecia.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that you have something else internally going on. But it's best to get that information early so you can address the issue instead of trying to play catch up.
Yes.
Because I used every cream that people were suggesting. I became a vitamin junkie. I was taking all the vitamins. Everything that I could think of that could help regrow my hair, everything that I was reading about, I had so many vitamins. And again, I think I waited too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was at then a point of no return. It's nothing that can be done.
Yes. So once you decide to go to the doctor, and so from the doctor, did she recommend you or refer you to a dermatologist?
So yes, I went to my doctor and they did a blood workup, and I went back in 2 weeks, and he said, you're fine. He said, the only thing that you're deficient in is your vitamin D, but that's common in African Americans.
Yes.
So he said, I'm going to refer you to a dermatologist. So I got the appointment with the dermatologist, went to the appointment. They wanted to do another blood workup. So I'm already hard to stick. So I was like, listen, y'all can get the results from my doctor's office. He said, no, ma'am, we need our own workup.
Yes. Which makes sense.
Yes. They tested me for everything. Everything. He told me they tested me for lupus. They tested me for everything. And everything came back fine. Again, that I was deficient in my vitamin D, but I already knew that. So when I came back, I went to, I guess I'm going too fast. So I went to the appointment. They drew the blood. They did the workup. When I went back in 2 weeks, that's when he told me that I was fine. Other than my vitamin D, I was deficient in. They told me then, and my family and my friends, they were tripping like, why you didn't tell anybody you were getting a biopsy? I found out the same day. So he did a biopsy. And I'm like, what? So he said, my nurse is going to come in and numb your scalp. They came in, she put a topical on my scalp. She let the topical sit for about 15 minutes. He came back in, he gave me an injection in my scalp. I sat for about another 20 minutes. He came in and cut a plug of my scalp. He needed where it was bald and where there was also still live hair follicles.
Yes, yes.
So did that, stitched me up, bandaged me up, and sent me on my way. So in the midst of that, I went back and got the stitches and things out. And that's when I cut all my hair off.
Okay, so you cut all your hair off before you were diagnosed with alopecia?
I did.
Why?
Because I felt like that's what it was.
Okay, by your experience.
I thought it was alopecia areata.
Okay.
Because I had the patches.
Yes.
And then it was just one big one right here in the middle. So I thought it was alopecia areata. So I was just like, I'm just going to go ahead and get in front of it. I don't know what's getting ready to happen because I was hysterical. There were so many nights that I cried myself to sleep. There were so many nights that I was praying and asking God to take this away, regrow my hair. And God had another plan.
Let's stay right there a minute. You said you were hysterical, praying for God to regrow your hair. Why was your hair so important to you?
Because I've always been told that, our hair is our crown and glory. I've always been made to feel like when my hair was long, that made me pretty. Like my identity was attached to my hair.
Yes.
People knew me for the fly hairstyles. People knew me for the beautiful locks. So I felt like I was connected to my hair. Like hair made me.
Yeah. And that's most of us.
Yeah.
Because my insecurities came as a 11-year-old little girl, compare myself to other 11-year-old little girls that had long hair, and I had short hair.
Yeah.
So I immediately equated them as being pretty.
Pretty. Yes.
Me being ugly.
Yes.
Because I didn't have long hair. And that's where my insecurity started.
Yeah.
Because my hair wasn't as long as other little girls in middle school.
Yeah. And I'll even go back. You said something. When I was younger, I used to cry because I didn't have long hair. I used to cry because I thought that, having long hair made you beautiful. And so finally, when my hair did really start growing, I was like, oh, wow. Like I could do anything to my hair. My hair was past my shoulders and it was beautiful. And so, to go from having hair to not, to go from cutting my hair off by choice.
Yes, by choice.
To having to cut it off by force. it was a whole different dynamic for me. And it was so many tears. At that time, I was teaching at a cosmetology school in Greenville. And I would be running late for work because I'm trying to cover up the bald spots. And then ultimately just have a total breakdown in the bathroom.
Was that a lot of work?
It was.
And stressful, I would imagine.
Very stressful. And I had a learning leader, or my educational leader, that did not understand. Because she had beautiful, thick, luscious hair. So, you know, she's looking at me like, okay, what's the problem?
Yes.
And see, you don't know that this thing hurts like it does until you have to sit in that seat.
Yes. Yes.
And that uncomfortable place is not a good place.
It's not a good
And for me, I felt like the hair loss was like an amputation because I had hair. And to go from having hair to not having hair. And I'll say I became bald by choice and force. I chose to cut the rest of my hair off because I didn't want to. I was tired of covering it up. So I chose to cut it off. There could have been, you know, where I could have continued to cover it up, but I didn't want that to continue to be my narrative.
Yeah. And I would assume that it had so much power over you. It controlled, like you say, the narrative of your day. It just controlled everything, trying to take the time. And I've heard so many women in the salon and even after the salon, you know, asking the questions, when will I know it's time to cut my hair? Or do you think I should cut my hair? I'm tired of covering it up. But then a lot of them are tired of covering, but they're not at that place that they want to see themselves completely bald.
Yes.
Either. So talk about that, because that's a big leap. That's big.
Yes. And so at that time I was making my wigs.
Okay.
And so I would make me a wig, and instead of taking the wig off, putting it on the dresser or on the stand, I slept in my wigs. I did not want to see myself bald.
Were you in a relationship at the time?
Yeah, I was.
Did he know what was going on?
He didn't. And it was many nights that I would spend the night at his place. And I would wake up frantic, not knowing what position this wig is in. And there were times when I woke up where the front of the wig was sitting over here on my temple. And I would jump and I would straighten it up and look over to make sure he's still asleep, that he don't see what's going on. And even like just certain things like I didn't want to do because I didn't want my wig to shift. It was even to the point, there have been times when I had been in church where I felt the Holy Spirit rising up. And I would quench the spirit because I was afraid if I started shouting that my wig was going to come off and land in one of the deacon's lap. And so it was so much bondage.
Yes, that's a good word.
It was so much bondage. And, you know, a lot of, you know, some women call it an accessory. It wasn't an accessory for me. Mm-hmm. I was bound to my wigs.
It was a necessity.
Yeah. And it was a toxic necessity.
Yes.
Because I was bound to it. And I remember my son was getting ready to go to the 9th grade. And I told him, I said, I'm tired of these wigs. This is when I started going back and forth to the doctor. I said, I'm tired of these wigs. And I said, I'm ready to take it off. I was worried about him because he don't play about his mama. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want him at those people's school fighting because they talking about his bald head mama. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to prepare him. My daughters, they were grown. They were out of school. And they were like, well, Mama, you can rock that. You can do it. Go ahead and do it. But I was worried about him because I wanted to make sure that he was fine. And he told me, he said, well, if somebody says something about my bald head, Mama, they going to catch these. I said, no, you're not passing our hands to nobody. Yeah. I said, because you know you have a good mama. What people say don't matter. Mm-hmm. Because people talked about me when I had a head full of hair. So, baby, we not going to worry about what they going to say now because they going to have something to say, you know. And so that morning I woke up. This was on a Friday. That Saturday morning I woke up, I was sitting on the side of my bed. And it's just like you and I are talking. God said it's women fighting for their life, losing their hair. You perfectly healthy. In that moment, I knew I had to go to the barbershop to handle this. So I went to school. I taught my class. I left school and I went to my friend's barbershop. And when I walked in, he was like, what you doing here? I said, you'll see. Not knowing it was only 2 people in front of me. Those other clients were the guys that worked in the shop with me. But he's usually really busy. So I thought, okay, he got about 5 people. I got time to decide if I'm going to sit or stay, if I'm going to sit or leave. Mm-hmm. So he finished those. He was like, okay. He said, what you doing here? And I looked around and I felt like I know it was just in my mind. All eyes was on me. I took a deep breath. I took the wig off, put her in my purse. And I said, I need you to fix this.
Okay, stay right there. You took the wig off.
In the barbershop.
In the barbershop amongst men mostly.
Yes.
Tell me, what did you feel, or tell the audience, what did you feel at that moment?
I felt like I had so many emotions. I felt like, what are you doing? I felt like I wanted to drill a hole in the middle of the floor and get in it. But at that point, when I took it off, I was at a point of no return. So I felt like I was afraid, mm-hmm. but I was doing what I needed to do afraid.
Yes. Yeah.
And I started to feel like chains began to fall off me as I was walking to his chair because I was doing this for me. I was doing this for me and not worrying about the society's mm-hmm. standard for me mm-hmm. or anybody else's standard for me. So I did that. I sat in the chair, and God is such a good God. He has people in place right when you need them. And his girlfriend was there, and she was sitting there, and she's watching him cut my hair, and she was like, she said, you are so beautiful. She said, why have you been hiding behind those wigs? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that I needed her in that front row. Like people always say, everybody can't sit in your front row. Mm-hmm. I needed her in that front row seat because she gave me a peace and a strength that I couldn't even give to myself.
Yes.
But I knew I had to do this for myself. So after he finished cutting my hair, I walked out, and it was just like the heavens were smiling on me. I had so much peace and so much freedom.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, the enemy comes quickly. Because from the time I left the shop till I got home, I walked in my house and sat on my sofa and ordered a wig.
So what was going through your head at that time that made you order another wig?
What have you done?
Second guessing yourself.
Second guessing myself. Who's going to want you with the bald head?
Mm-hmm. Let's address that. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we can say society or other people can put things in our heads to make us feel a certain way about ourselves.
Yeah.
But we can do that to ourselves as well.
We can be our own worst enemy.
Yes.
The enemy within me.
Yes.
And that's what I was dealing with.
How did you combat that?
So I came home. It was like I was fighting a battle, but I felt like I was losing.
Yes.
Because all these things started going through my head. Because again, now I'm single.
Okay, let's go back real quick to the relationship. Did he ever realize that you had alopecia, or you? No. Never. Okay.
No. He didn't realize it until I started doing, he didn't know until I started doing my lives, because that's when I started my journey of going to the doctor, that's when I started doing my lives. And so that's when he found out.
And how was that for you? Or how was that for the relationship?
Well, by then we were done.
Okay.
Yeah, by then we were done. And
so for the female that's experiencing what you just said, what you just talked about, and they have a mate, and they don't want their mate, husband, boyfriend, intimate partner, to know about their alopecia or their hair loss journey that they're experiencing. I don't want to say that, but shouldn't we be comfortable enough to express to the people that we're intimate with what's going on with us without shame or embarrassment or fear of rejection?
Yeah, because I feel like this now. Our mate, whether it's by marriage or we're in a relationship, in marriage, there's our covenant vow. In relationships, I would think that who I'm in a relationship with, that's my best friend. And if I can't be honest with my best friend, or I can't be honest with my person that I am in covenant with, then am I in the right relationship? Yes. Am I in the right marriage?
Is that the right person?
Because ultimately, that person is supposed to cover you, care for you, speak into you, inspire you, encourage you. When the world is giving you hell, they're supposed to give you that peace.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
And I had a friend, and she and I, we were conversating back and forth. She shared her alopecia with me when she saw me on the news when I was getting ready to do one of my walks. And her husband didn't know. And when she had hidden it for years. And when she finally told him the truth, he was upset with her, because I kept telling her, you need to tell him. That's your covenant vow. That's your best friend. Like, you can't get any closer to anyone else other than your husband or your mate.
Yes.
Those are your people.
Yes.
And so I told her, I said, tell him the truth. And so when she finally told him, he was angry with her.
Because she didn't tell him.
Because she didn't tell him. And he wanted to
didn't trust him enough. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a hurtful place.
Yes.
Because, we are life partners. So anything in life that is going on, we should be able to share it. Yeah.
That's true.
So, but a lot of times, and I think too, again, and she told me that he made a comment when the Chris Rock and the Will Smith debacle took place. She said he made a comment that made her feel like she couldn't trust his response. Yeah. And that's understandable too. Yeah. Yeah. So, in her defense, she felt like she was right withholding this information because out of, fear or hearing something that would further wound her. because a lot of times, and they don't want to look at alopecia as a medical or a mental issue, but it very much is. This plays on people's mental.
Yes.
I've had women in my inbox tell me that they were contemplating suicide.
Yes.
And so I know it's big.
It's big.
It's bigger than what they try to make it out to be. They want to make it seem like it's cosmetic. No, it has a lot to do with someone's internal.
Yeah. And like you said the word amputee.
Yeah.
It's like I'm cutting off a part of me that was a vital part of me that I used for a purpose. It served a purpose.
Yes.
And now I have to let it go.
I have to let it go. And so though you go through grief because that is a loss.
A loss.
You go through some states of depression because you are
depressed.
I don't think I went through a lot of crying spells. And so I will say that was a part of depression because I was very emotional. But it was like after, I think, and this was about a 6-month span, I would still have my spells. And, when I would see someone with, their hair beautiful, I would think back to when that used to be me. Or I would see someone with their locks all styled up. I would think back when that used to be me. And so it's like, I tell people sometimes you can't miss what you've never had. But when you have had it, there is a process that you have to go through to reassure yourself that you still that girl.
You're still that person. And for me, mine was by choice. Because I too grew locks and my locks were here. And one day at work, I looked at myself in the mirror and I just felt like there was so much weight on me. And I felt like I was just being weighed down. And I just started cutting. And then I cut some more and I cut some more. And now I wear my hair short. And I just went to the barbershop last week because I was trying to let it grow out, right? And I left the lightener on too long. So you know what can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I woke up and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, my hair is very slick. It's very slick. And when I went to the barbershop, she said, did you cut your hair back down? I'm like, no, it came out. But I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I choose to wear. And that was one of our mottos for the Bald, Bold, and Beautiful, for women that choose to wear their hair bald or shaven by choice or circumstance. Mine was by choice. Yours at the end was circumstance. So there is a difference.
It is. It is. And, I used to say, at one time, people that cut their hair off by choice, we can't really sit together because we don't really understand each other.
Yes.
But now I have a love and a respect for somebody that cuts their hair off by choice because they don't care what society has to say.
And that takes a lot of confidence too.
Yes.
That takes a lot of confidence in knowing who you are and being okay. Yes.
Yes. That takes a lot of, that's bold, that's confident, that's assurance. That's like, I'm not bothered by what I'm doing this for me. And so like, for me, I tell people I'm bald by choice and force. There is two dynamics that go on. These bald spots, they force me to cut my hair. I cut the rest of it off by choice because I don't want to cover it up anymore.
Yeah.
I say all the time, there are no more boxes that I can get in. Not 27 pieces, not a wig box. There are no more boxes for me to get in. I'm living outside the box and I'm living bold, beautiful, and free.
Yes.
And that's where I am now. And, a lot of times when I was younger, people used to say, oh, you think you pretty. And I used to be like, no, I don't. But now in this state, yeah, I do. I'm not apologizing, dummying down, watering down, dimming anything for somebody else to be okay.
I love that. I love it. Let's go back because you said you thought you had alopecia areata.
Yes.
So what was your diagnosis? What type of alopecia did you have?
So I have an unspecified case of alopecia. And so I'm like, I started reading up. I had for sure diagnosed myself with alopecia areata because those were the symptoms. All my symptoms mimic alopecia areata.
Mm-hmm.
The patches, and I have this one smooth is right here, because the rest of my hair on the sides, with the exception of a few little small patches here, my sides and my back, they'll grow.
Mm.
They'll grow. I have some little small patches up in here, but the problem is the center. And so I thought I had alopecia areata. And so I had did my research. I had my spiel that I was ready for him. I was like, I don't want the injections because the injections cause migraines and can trigger seizures. I already have headaches from time to time. I don't need nothing else to help my head hurt. And I had my whole spiel, and he let me get through it too. And he told me, he said, there's no cure for your alopecia. He said, I would do you a disservice to try to give you something when it's an unspecified case of alopecia. Mm. He said, and I'm not going to do that. He told me, he said, I have a colleague in Charlotte that I'm going to refer you to. And I started shaking my head. I said, I don't want to go.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, you had acceptance of your condition.
Yeah. I said, I don't want to go. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to be my own cure. He said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, I'm going to fall madly in love with myself, and I'm going to walk this journey out for me. And he looked at me and he said, young lady, he said, you're going to lead the way. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, you're going to lead the way. And I left his office and I haven't seen him again.
And now you're leading the way.
And now I'm leading the way.
Now you're leading the way. So you're leading the way. You have your lives. You encourage women through your lives.
Yeah.
You have different events that you sponsor.
Yes.
Because I've attended one and
yes.
see all these women in the room that look so beautiful with their bald heads, different shapes of heads, because so many times, women say, well, I would love to cut my hair, but I don't like the shape of my head. But again, that's where the acceptance comes in, because your head shape is your head shape. Yeah.
And a lot of times up under all that hair and under all those wigs, we really don't know what our head is shaped like, but I'll say this, I often say, God has a sense of humor, because every bald woman that I meet has a beautiful head. And I tell my mama all the time, girl, you shaped this head. Mm-hmm. You did a good job, because God knows what we're going to go through before we go through it. I used to have this saying, alopecia caught me by surprise. Alopecia didn't surprise God. God already knew. And even when I was having my breakdowns and my woe is me parties and begging God to regrow my hair, he knew that my pain would have purpose. And so, I look at it now and I say, it was good that I was afflicted. It was good that God allowed me to go through this, because I had a chance to re-meet me. I had a chance to re-meet Lecita and get to know the real Lecita, not the Lecita that hid behind wigs and 27 pieces and braids and crochet braids. The real authentic me that has made up in my mind, when I walk in the room, if nobody addressed me, nobody noticed me, I love me, I notice me, and I'm that girl.
You're that girl. So tell us about the new authentic Lecita, you just said when you walk in the room, if no one addresses you, if no one notices you, you know that you're that girl.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you've learned here.
I love me. I accept me. I cheer for me. And, some people would think it comes from a place of arrogance. It's a place of assurance for me. Some people think it's cocky. I think it's confidence. Because there was a time when I questioned my worth. My self-esteem was below zero. And I just questioned everything about me, even my femininity. Knowing I had already birthed 3 children.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I even questioned my femininity.
What you just said, because I'm not that prissy girl. Yeah. I like nice things. I like to look nice, but I'm not that girl that just sits with her back straight and crosses her legs like this and hold her hands on her lap. I'm not that prissy girl.
Yeah.
I was that tomboy. I played outside. I played hard. I was the oldest kid, so I had to fight to protect my sisters. I did all those things.
Yeah.
But I'm feminine in my own way. I'm feminine in my strength. I'm feminine in knowing who I am.
Yes.
I'm feminine of knowing that I don't have to have hair
to be
feminine. Yeah.
No. And I look at pictures of when I was covering up. I look and feel so vibrant now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because in those photos, I was in bondage and I couldn't be the real me. Like what you see is what you get now. Like when it's raining, I love when I'm at work and the girls are standing at the door and they're like, "Oh, it's raining outside, baby. It's not going to mess up my blowout." Baby, I just walk through that parking lot
and let the rain
down
on your scalp and
rain
it feels
down
so
on me.
invigorating.
Yes. And a lot of times I tell people the raindrops, those are kisses from God.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not bothered by the rain.
Yeah.
The rain can't hurt me. Y'all got to worry about y'all hair. But I'm good.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm good.
Freedom.
Free. The freedom. And I can remember, years ago, I would take showers and I can't be in there long because it can't mess up my hair. But now I love a good hot shower.
Yes.
The whole bathroom steamed. I love that. Because all I have to do when I get out is dry my scalp off.
Put a little bit of moisturizer.
A little bit of moisturizer and I can go on about my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's such a beautiful thing.
Are you dating now?
I am.
Tell us about this relationship, how it differs from the other one, your past relationship.
He is such an amazing man. He speaks into me. But the thing that I really love the most, he kisses me on my little bald head. He kisses me on my little bald head and he just kissed me all around my face. But he grabs my face and pulls me to him. And he says all the time, "It's not your hair that I love. I love you." And I had a friend to say one time, if he don't want you bald, he don't want you at all. And I love that. But he has been such a peaceful place for me. And I knew him when I was younger. So he knew me when I had hair. And now he knows me in this space. And he is so loving and so accepting and he's a soft space for me.
I like that. A soft space.
Yeah.
And he has to be a confident man as well.
Oh, he
'Cause
is.
he
He's a
doesn't worry
man's.
about what other people think as well.
He don't. He's a man's man.
A man's man. A man.
Yes.
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 I love it. There's something you said. There are women out there fighting for their lives, and they're going to lose their hair in the process.
Mhm.
You know someone that's fighting for her life right now and may lose her hair in her process. Who is that person?
My mother.
Will you tell the audience what's going on with her now?
So she was diagnosed with breast cancer. They did the surgery in January, but he decided to, and then I'll go back, the backstory. So my mom is my grandfather's fifth daughter to have breast cancer. So she routine mammogram, and they found something abnormal. So they brought her back in for another mammogram and an ultrasound, and it still abnormal. So she had to have a biopsy, and that's when they determined that she had breast cancer. And I knew something wasn't right when the nurse said, "Do not look at your my chart. We'll call you."
You know, my charts can get us in trouble.
Yes.
I don't look through mine.
When she said that, it was just like something went off on the inside of me. I was, that's not, something is not right.
Yes.
And I called her because I knew she was supposed to get the results. And she was crying. And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "I have breast cancer." And I said, "Well, okay. We gonna whoop it. We gonna whoop it." Because my grandfather and my grandmother's children, my mom's oldest sister, she got her healing on the other side. My grandfather had two older daughters. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
My grandfather had two older daughters outside the marriage. They had breast cancer. My mom's baby sister has beat breast cancer twice. She had to have her left breast removed this last time. So now my mama, she's going through it.
How old is your mother?
She's 73.
73. Okay.
She'll be 74 Sunday. So we have a birthday to celebrate. So she had her first round of chemo Friday on the 20th. And she got her hair cut down low, but she still has a little bit. And she was thinking about doing this cold cap. And I was listening to the chemo educator speak on it. And when she said it's not guaranteed.
And what is a cold cap for the audience that doesn't know?
Okay, so a cold cap is it's a cap that they use, and during your chemo, the cold cap is functioning on your head, and it is to minimize hair loss or you don't lose hair at all. And my friend, she had breast cancer and she used the cold cap and she didn't lose any of her hair. But it's so many things that you can't do. And when she said it's not guaranteed and it's not cheap, it's $200 a session. So my mom has to have 4 rounds of chemo. So that's $800. That is not guaranteed. And I'm thinking to myself, again, we want to do everything that we can to save our hair. Instead of putting that money somewhere else. Because
But you can understand for the woman that chooses to have that or choose the cold cap, you can't understand.
I can't understand. And my thing is always, when you spend that kind of money and it fails, it sets you already going through chemo. You already fighting for your life. That sets you back.
Yeah.
Because again, so many women, their hair is their identity.
Yes.
They are attached to their hair. And so when they're going through, that's another stressor. You paying this money and you don't know if it's going to work. And then one morning you wake up and just run your hands through your hair, and your hair comes through with your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I said, you know, I'll support whatever you do, but I'm just going to say that I would rather for us to try to find something natural or just let life do what it's going to do.
Yes. Let the journey be the journey.
Let the journey be the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what she has chosen to do. Just let the journey be the journey. Because I told her, I said, well, girl, if you lose your hair, you can just join my club.
Yes, yes. Have no more bad hair days.
Yeah, no more bad hair days. And so we laugh about that. But, you know, I told her, you can spend that $800 on something else. Mm-hmm. You know, whatever you want to do, whether, you know, you want to, you know, a spa date, whatever, treat mm-hmm. yourself. Mm-hmm. But that is money that can be put somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. How has your journey prepared you for what it is that you're going through with your mom right now?
I think going back to when my aunt went through her battle, and then when my mama's baby sister. So backstory: when my mama's baby sister went through her first chemo journey, I had long locks. I shaved the whole side of my. So I'm not new to cutting off my hair. Mm-hmm. I shaved the whole side of my hair to support her, and I think because we've gone through this so many times in the family, it's not new. It's not foreign.
Okay.
And because I live as a beautiful bald woman, mm-hmm. and she's the woman that birthed me, a lot of what's in me came from her.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
They're in prayers for your mom.
Thank you.
That God allows her to heal.
Yes.
And to give you and her the strength that they need or that you need.
Yeah.
To endure the journey. Because a lot of times, and I'm not talking about your mom, I'm just talking about in life. You know, in the Bible, when Jesus said, God, if you can take this cup away from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes we have to go through the journey.
Yeah, we have to go through the journey.
We have to get to the other side.
We have to do hard well. I have a friend that says that all the time. We have to do hard things well. And, you know, this is not our first. So some year in 23, she was having issues with her stomach. They found a GIST tumor in her stomach. She had been in pain for months.
What is a GIST tumor?
It was hiding.
Okay.
It was hiding under her stomach. Like her whole stomach had like twisted. And she had gone to a gastroenterologist. They had ran the light down. They had did all the things. And she was bleeding on the inside.
Internal, okay.
And so finally, she called me one night. She was like, I can't take this. So I took her to Pelham. And they were the only ones, the first ones to order a scan. And when they did that scan, that's when they found it. But to the other doctors, her stomach was twisted. Like somebody had twisted a bag of apples and it was hidden. And it was a cancerous tumor. It was a cancerous tumor. So they did the surgery and they had to take a portion of her stomach. So we're not new to this, but I thank God he continues to give her the wisdom to go to the doctor because we're catching these things early in the first stages. And so I'm glad about that. I'm glad that we are a family that advocates getting mammograms.
Proactive instead of having to react.
Yes, yes.
And that's a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Within itself. That could be a whole podcast.
Yes.
Taking care of yourself.
Taking care of you.
Listening.
Listening.
Your physical, listening to your body.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
You have something that you just started.
I do.
It is Dear Bald Besties.
Yes.
I love the name.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So Dear Bald Bestie is kind of like a Dear Abby situation. But instead of me writing back, I read the letters aloud and I speak back. And so God gave me that some months ago. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to do it right now. Now is not the right time. I'm in school. But what I'm learning now is sometimes there's never a right time. We just have to do it. Because there are women out here that they're not ready. They want to talk about the alopecia journey. They want insight on it, but they're not ready. And so they can anonymously speak on their issues or what they're experiencing. And I can respond to them publicly, and they remain anonymous and private in what they're going through.
And not only to helping them, it's helping everyone else that's listening as well.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of women that oftentimes sit back and watch from afar. Mm-hmm. They're going through it, but they would dare not expose themselves. They let someone else expose themselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like my friends call sprinkle therapy. One person goes to therapy, but we share what the therapist has given us.
Yeah. And that's like substance abuse, domestic abuse.
Yes.
No one wants to admit that they're involved in a domestic abusive relationship. Yeah. But then, like you said, when that one person is courageous enough or bold enough to talk about it, then the next person is listening and they're gaining their information and their strength from that person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that is so beautiful.
Thank you.
How has it been going for you?
So I've been getting some entries, and so now I'm excited about. Now I'm trying to put together, because I want to do like soft piano music.
Yes.
When I'm reading the letters and responding, so now I'm trying to figure out how to get this music and incorporate it. So yeah, but a lot of women have been responding. Like I'm really surprised. I'm so filled with joy because I didn't think that, women would respond like this. And it's women. One lady did an entry. I met her years ago in Fayetteville at an event. I didn't even know that she was following me or on my timeline on Facebook. And so it's that thing right there when you're helping somebody, but really don't know that you're helping them.
Yes.
That's the best feeling.
When someone comes up to you and say, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw your post. Yeah. That helped me. Yeah. Because oftentimes we can get into our heads.
Yeah.
I wonder, is this making a difference? Is anyone paying attention?
Yeah.
Because we're not getting the likes or we're not getting the comments.
Yes.
And we can allow that to be a deterrent. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because there have been times when I was doing lives and I'm like, well, nobody was responding. Nobody is liking. And it's like me and God, we have a different relationship. It's not about you, Keita.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not about you.
If you
touch one person.
Yes.
That's all it's needed. Because the thing is, and I have a motto for the True Blue movement, together we can hug the world. And what I mean by that, when I lock arms with one sister, she reaches back and locks arms with another sister. And we get to touch sisters that we may not ever get to meet, but we get to touch each other. And so, I've gotten that out of my head. So now I put the content out and I just let it do what it do. If I don't see the likes and I don't see the shares and I don't see the comments, that's not my business. My responsibility is to put it out there for the people and let whoever needs it take it and do what they need to do with it.
Yes. And most of the time, it's that person that's not going to comment. They're not going to like because they don't want anyone to know. Yeah. They don't want anyone to know. Yeah. You said something earlier about pain into purpose.
Yes.
So do you feel you're walking into your purpose now?
I do. It took a long time for me because I used to say all the time, what is my purpose?
Or walking in your purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to wonder, what is my purpose? What am I doing? Why, I feel like I'm just taking up space because what am I doing? And this journey has shown me that this is my purpose. I had a young lady at work and that thing, it was different. She came to me, she said, come here, I need you to look at something. She said, and I know you'll know more about what I'm going through. So I'm going to show it to you. But I don't want nobody else in our business. I was like, okay, well, let's go over here. She pulled up her hair, and in the very back of her nape area, there was a huge bald spot about that big. And I told her, I said, make you an appointment today to go see your doctor, your family physician. Go see, you need to make an appointment. Mm-hmm. And so some days later, she said, I made the appointment. I'm going. And so like a week later, she told me, she said, he put me on a cream. And she said, thank you so much. And I'm like, you doing it, God.
Yes.
Put me in places and positions to where I'm still touching women.
Yes. Just by being authentically you.
Authentically me.
Yes. So for the person that's listening and they want to contact you, they want to know about your True Blue movement, they want to know more about Letters to Bald Besties, how can they find you?
So True Blue Movement is on social media. It's on Facebook. I haven't transitioned it to Instagram yet, but it's on Facebook and it's True Blue Movement. And then I have Sacred Crown. That used to be the Bald and Beautiful Sister Circle. I just condensed it. It's Sacred Crown now. That's on Facebook as well. And it's on Instagram. Now, Dear Bald Bestie, you can reach me at dearbaldbestie@yahoo.com.
Repeat that one more time.
You can reach me at dearbaldbestie@yahoo.com. And you can also contact me on social media under Lecita Porter. And Lecita doesn't sound like it's spelled, so I'm going to spell it out. It is Lecita Porter, Porter. And on both social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, I am Lecita Porter on those both. And again, Sacred Crown is on Instagram and Facebook. And Dear Bald Bestie, it is dearbaldbestie@yahoo.com.
Thank you. Thank you. I have so enjoyed this.
I have so enjoyed this as well.
Yes. I have one more question and it has 3 answers.
Okay.
This is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Will you tell the audience 3 things that has helped you to survive?
Falling in love with myself. Ensuring and encouraging myself that what other people think about me is not my business. And living in my authentic truth. Owning who I am unapologetically. That's what's gotten me through.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night as well. Thank you.
Blessings over all your endeavors and over your mother as she goes through her health journey as well, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You have a blessed one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.